All right, you know what does make me happy though? Is that it is Friday and it's time to look at what's coming up on streaming, in the movies, and we have the Culture Blaster. It's Michael Snyder. We welcome Michael Snyder to the show. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Welcome, Michael Snyder, everybody. Yay!
Hey, hi Kim. Bonne santé. That would be good health to you non-French speakers. I guess
Okay.
the Paris Olympics have me in a French state of mind, even with the COVID lurking. Yes, the spike in
Hmm.
Rona cases. I am so concerned that Mark had to use the fainting couch today. Um,
Yes.
but I'm happy that you're taking the wheel, Kim. I'll tell you what, I'm concerned enough that I wore a mask at last night's theater screenings.
Yeah.
It's
It's
virulent
back.
in San
Yeah.
Francisco and Los Angeles, and so am I guess. Before we
Not that
get
it
to
not that it ever left, but it's definitely resurging, and so wearing a mask at a screening where there's a lot of people seems like a really smart idea right now.
Well, I'm nothing if not really smart. No, I do not want to have to use the fainting couch, Kim. I can't.
No.
How Victorian am I? Well, I'm not that Victorian.
No.
Speaking of my fair cities, San Francisco and Los Angeles, I do want to point out a big event happening tonight in San Francisco at the Haight Street Arts Center. It is a punk rock photo exhibit with work by a lot of terrific photographers I know, not the least amongst them my old pal Chester Simpson. The show is called San Francisco Punk 1970s, 1980s. And it will be opening this evening with an event from 6 to 9 p.m. again at the Haight Street Arts Center, 215 Haight Street. And if I wasn't in Los Angeles dodging viruses, I would be at that soiree tonight.
You're the coolest of cool. You attend the funky events. There's nothing you won't go to.
Well, now, nothing I won't go to without my trusty mask.
That's
I'm not.
right.
Uh, Anyway, speaking of danger, let's get to today's movie selections, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay, Trap is a new movie about a serial killer from the prince of the plot twist, M. Night Shyamalan, screenwriter, director of, The Sixth Sense, Signs,
Mhm.
Unbreakable, Split, Knock at the Cabin. I'm mentioning the good ones. There are some that are not quite so good. Some are good, some are gratuitously weird or self-indulgent. For the record, Trap is actually coming out mere weeks after the release of his daughter Ishana Shyamalan's debut directorial effort, The Watchers, which he co-produced and which was, yeah, okay. I mean, the apple hasn't fallen that far from the tree. But meanwhile, Trap itself is a full-on bring your daughter to work day project, and I will explain. As Trap begins, we join loving father Cooper, played by the good-looking, slightly rugged former young Hollywood hunk Josh Hartnett. And he's bringing his tween daughter, played by Ariel Donahue, to a big concert by Lady Raven, a fictional stand-in for Lady Gaga, played by, wait for it, Salika Shyamalan, who is also M. Night Shyamalan's daughter and sings and plays her own quote-unquote original music throughout the hefty concert sequence here. I mean, is this guy running a Nepo nursery or what? I mean, anyway, back to the plot. We quickly learn that the concert is, in fact, an elaborate trap to catch a serial killer known as the Butcher. The police, led by an FBI profiler, played by, oh my God, veteran British actress Hayley Mills, who got her start in a movie called The Parent Trap. Wow. And the cops know the Butcher is attending the show, so they've surrounded the arena and are doing spot checks throughout to catch the guy. From the trailers and early in the movie itself, we also find out that Cooper is, in fact, the Butcher. So it's not a big spoiler. It doesn't matter because it's what happens after we learn this that makes the movie roll. The fun is seeing how he deals with the trap he's in while balancing his duties as a good daddy. So Hartnett's performance is the best thing in the movie, alternately genial and chilling, getting to the heart of the character's broken psyche. He's already done some really memorable, fairly recent work in the movie Oppenheimer and the TV shows The Bear and Penny Dreadful. And now he's the engine that powers Trap, which is engaging, intense, until a third act that goes surprisingly conventional for a serial killer movie, despite being a Shyamalan joint. And there is an odd, unexpected, and extremely unlikely hero turn that made me shrug. There are twists that seem telegraphed, but are never the big impact stuff we've come to expect from the director's most memorable work. Nepotism aside, it's almost confounding to learn that Salika is a much better singer and actress than you'd expect. And in fact, the end credits revealed that she actually has a recording contract with Columbia, which may be in the service of a Trap soundtrack album, but a deal is a deal. And if Trap isn't close to Shyamalan's best, it's not bad. I think it's a bargain matinee. Or a better bet for a streaming diversion when available. It is currently in theaters. Conditional, not terrible.
We had Alan in the chat saying Shyamalan movies always seem to disappoint him in some way.
That's fair. The ones I mentioned earlier worked for me for the most part. And it's just that, he goes to the well of surprise. Is there a well of surprise so often?
Apparently somewhere.
and sometimes he pulls up the bucket and it's empty. So I don't know. This was okay. And again, the third act seems so much more conventional than what we've come to expect from him. So if you just go in there wanting to be amused or diverted for an hour and a half, while you eat your popcorn, Trap works on that level.
Right.
Okay, in 1955, and this is something you may know about as a mom, a picture book written and illustrated by Crockett Johnson was published. It was entitled Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Love this book so much. It's one of our favorites.
In this book, a 4-year-old boy named Harold has a magic purple crayon that can bring to life anything the child draws. Simple and sweet. And it became a beloved classic of children's literature that inspired, I've seen this, a charming animated short in the late 1950s, it's vintage, and a 2002 cartoon series. So it took a while, but they finally got around to making the first live-action version of Harold and the Purple Crayon, this one starring Zachary Levi as a grown-up, but still somehow infantile Harold. I don't know how else to put it. I suppose they're going for comedy, but
hey, you know what? Once you figure out what the purple crayon can do, you never want to let go of it.
Right, exactly. And a live action version of a quote unquote adult, here I have air quotes again, Harold, as an adult. The idea is the picture book Harold grows up and draws himself out of the book and into the real world, where the filmmakers hope that hilarity and the warm fuzzies will ensue. Although it has a few laughs and does feature a usually reliable supporting cast, including Zoe Deschanel and one of Mark's favorites, Lil Rel Howery, it is mostly dull, charmless, and bloated, trying to force laughs with slapstick sequences that are unfunny despite the effort. So these good actors are wasted. Maybe I needed to be between 8 and 11 years old to appreciate this. Spoiler alert, I am not, but I can still get into that mindset. And trust me, if a kid's movie is good, I know it. The source material subtext about the wonders of imagination and creativity are still here and there, but the bulk of it is so mediocre that the message is undermined. One of the issues here is that the kid, Harold, grows up in the movie. So you lose that kind of sweetness element. And in a very obvious bit of casting, it's Zachary Levi. He plays Harold as a grown-up kid, just like his portrayal of the adult DC superhero Shazam, who is actually a magically transformed adolescent boy. The casting director didn't have to go very far to find his grown-up Harold, in other words. Alfred Molina narrates. Jermaine Clement of Flight of the Conchords is on board, and still no dice.
Those are some big names in that movie.
I know. Harold should have used the purple crayon to write a better script. How about that?
Oh, no.
So much for imagination and creativity, which are in short supply here, at least for grown-ups. I think if you're 8 years old, you'll probably have a ball. I don't know. Again, this is something that it seems like it's designed for home streaming, home television, Harold and the Purple Crayon in theaters. But, if you're interested,
Yeah.
go, but you also might want to wait. All right.
Is it supposed to be a kids movie?
Yeah, it's a family
Okay.
film. Okay, it's meant for the whole family, but I think the adults are going to be like fidgeting. What can I say? And now for a movie I can wholeheartedly recommend, and certainly one of the better movies I've seen in a while. Kneecap is about a Belfast, Ireland hip-hop trio that is determined to rap in the Irish mother tongue. It is not only based on a true story, it features the actual people it concerns playing themselves in wildly entertaining fashion. They are former Belfast teacher JJ, moonlighting as a mix master, and the fast-rapping delinquents Nios and Liam Og, as they try to keep the word alive, as in, the classic Irish language. They're up against family members, prudes, cops, government officials, local rivals, and they're also dealing with their own flaws and excesses. Sex and drugs and hip hop? Yeah, what's the issue? Anyway, I have to say the music is killer. And the performances are absolutely hilarious and engaging. These guys, I literally thought it was, fiction or actors performing the main roles. And when I learned it was actually the guys themselves, I was doubly impressed.
So they're rapping in their native tongue?
Yeah, and I guess it's Gaelic, right?
Yeah.
Is that what the Irish native tongue is?
Or is Gaelic Scottish?
No,
I don't know.
Gaelic is Irish, I think.
Is it Irish? Okay.
I believe so. I should have done the research, Kim. I apologize. Anyway.
No, this is very interesting.
The music is killer. The movie, written and directed by Rich Pepiot, is fast and funny and kind of inspiring. It's partly in English and partly in Gaelic with English subtitles for the latter, but their working class accents are so thick that I would have appreciated English subtitles for much of the English. But that's a minor quibble, to be honest with you. I have to say, I was dazzled by this thing. And you know who's in this? Acting in a significant role? Michael Fassbender shows up, the great leading man. And he's always good in whatever he does. And in this case, I was just, totally caught up in Kneecap. It didn't kneecap me. It is a banger of a film, and I mean that in all the best ways. Kneecap is in theaters.
Oh, it's in theaters. Okay, very cool. That's you've piqued my interest with that one, Michael Snyder.
It might be a little rough for you, Kim. I don't know, but
really? Okay.
You're tough-minded. You can put up with a little bit of the seamy side of life, because these guys are deep in the Belfast equivalent of the hood. So, all right. Do you remember the 1984 fantasy movie, The Neverending Story?
Yes.
Okay. Tammy Stronach, the little girl who played the Empress in that film, is back after many years and starring in a new family-oriented fantasy movie called Man and Witch: The Dance of a Thousand Steps. Now I see Man and Witch, and I start thinking about sandwiches. How do you handle a hungry man and all that?
The Man Witch.
Not what this is. That's not what this is about. This is about a goat herd in a fantasy world, a kingdom where the animals talk to the camera, and he's kind of a schlub and kind of inept. By the way, played by a guy by the name of Glenn Steinbrunner, who in fact is also the screenwriter of this particular movie. It was, by the way, directed by a guy named Michael Hines. I've never seen any other credits for him. And time is ever marching forward. So Tammy's grown up now. She's a full-on woman and pretty good here as the witch of the title. And in fact, she's better than the movie. I have no doubt that the filmmakers behind it hoped it to be the Princess Bride for the 21st century. And, boy, I sound so much like I'm hedging my bets this weekend. It isn't terrible, but it is not at the level of wit and whimsy of the Princess Bride. It's in that zone of fussy mega financed mediocrity where Harold and the Purple Crayon also exists, you know.
Oh.
Anyway, so here's the weird rub in this film. The supporting cast, including people doing animal voices, is like so impressive. Shura Agdashlu plays the mother of the witch. Christopher Lloyd plays the father of the witch. Sean Astin does a lot of the narration. He's the voice of the dog. Michael Emerson, hardly visible here, is the evil wizard. Jennifer Saunders from Absolutely Fabulous is the voice of the goose, and Eddie Izzard is the voice of the sheep. And I guess it's a payday, and this is an even weirder aspect of it. Man and Witch only ran for 2 nights this past week in various theaters across the country via Fathom Events. I have no idea where and when it will crop up again, but I do think it should be at least streaming fodder for the little ones. It's, again, boy, I can't tell you. Michael Snyder says, not terrible. I just don't think that's what people are going to put on their posters. You know, if I wasn't offended by it, you know, kind of heavy-handed. But again, so much talent. I guess people, you know, people got to eat, Kim.
When you say to me it gets trapped in mediocrity, I'm not excited.
You know, I know, and the big names I mentioned, it's blink and you'll miss them, sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know where the financing came from, but they made the film, and it's nice to see Tammy Stronach getting work. She is truly the best thing about this. I'm surprised we haven't seen her in more films. That's her front and center if you're looking at a poster of the movie.
You call this a family movie?
It is absolutely a family movie, not offensive in the least. This and Harold and the Purple Crayon are not going to have people clutching their pearls, I promise you.
All right. You have some streaming options as well, right?
You're absolutely right. That's what we want to talk about. Okay, you need to have access to the BBC iPlayer here in the States for this show. And eventually I think it's going to make it to Amazon, but I watched it last week and I got a kick out of it. And I do like UK procedurals much better than the American dong dong. I don't watch Law and Order, but I do watch these little mini shows that the Brits do, and also our friends in Scandinavia and France. They all make some really great detective stories as serialized TV shows. The Jetty, which again is available on the BBC iPlayer, is a 4-episode procedural set in a Lancashire, England town. And it stars Jenna Coleman from Victoria. Remember, she played Queen Victoria in that terrific miniseries.
She was really good in that, yeah.
She was Clara Oswald in Doctor Who, a companion to both Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi as the Doctor. And she was the Moll in the absolute great true crime thriller, The Serpent, which is one of my favorite miniseries of the past decade. Here, she is a perceptive but guarded detective, Ember Manning, a single mom whose investigation into a fire at a waterfront lodging drags her into revisiting a cold case that involved a missing teenage girl who might have been connected to Ember's late husband, Mac, who is the father of her teenage daughter, Hannah. So there's a lot of twists and turns here. A crusading podcaster is trying to solve the cold case, and that puts her at odds with Ember, who is very uneasy about potential blowback from any revelations. I thought the Jetty was very, very cool. It didn't, what do we like to say, reinvent the wheel, but it's quite good. And Jenna Coleman is always terrific.
Only 4 episodes, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah, and again, it's only available right now in the States on the BBC iPlayer, but, people have that. Here's something that's far more available. It's called A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it dropped on Netflix this week, and I have watched a couple episodes of it, and it is a very entertaining series about a teenage girl in small town England. And this girl named Pip is played by a young actress named Emma Myers. That's her. And for her project to help get into university over the summer, she decides to revisit a cold case. A local neighbor of hers, a pretty teenage girl, died unexpectedly or disappeared. No one is quite certain. And her boyfriend is accused of the murder and kills himself. And
Oh,
Pip decides she's going to solve the mystery. That's going to be her big project. And instead of, doing, I don't know, a treatise on Chaucer, she's going to figure out the actual circumstances of the death of this local girl. And I was completely caught up in the first couple episodes. It's the work
okay.
of screenwriter Poppy Kogan. I believe it's based on a book. It is a BBC production in conjunction with Netflix, so you can see it easily if you do have the streaming service. And I'm having fun with it. Now, I
Okay.
like the cartoons and the superheroes, right?
Yes, that's
Okay.
good. No, I'm looking I'm looking for good stuff to stream because I've been stuck in this office for 7 days now and it's pretty much all I have to do. So, thank you. I'll put this on my list.
Yeah, this one is one you can get to easily. Now, again, like I said, I do love animation. I love superheroes, and I am absolutely over the moon for Batman Caped Crusader, which is available on Amazon Prime Video right now. It is the combined work of one of the two crucial creators of Batman the Animated Series, which in the 90s basically launched DC's animated universe that included a Superman series, a Justice League series, Batman Beyond, some of the very best sci-fi and superhero animation in memory. And this guy, Bruce Timm, who was the designer of some of these characters in Batman the Animated Series, Superman, etc., is one of the creators of Batman Caped Crusader and executive produces, along with J.J. Abrams, who you know from Lost and the Star Trek reboot and many, many other shows and films. Matt Reeves, who basically directed and wrote The Batman, the recent Robert Pattinson live action movie about the Caped Crusader, and some other terrific creatives, Ed Brubaker, a noted graphic novelist, and James Tucker, another designer. It's very unique insofar as it goes back to the early 1940s designs and sensibility that marked the original Batman comics that came out in that era. So you can see the when you watch the pointier cowl and it's truly an Art Deco setting, which is glorious to look at. Hamish Linklater voices the Batman. Christina Ricci is the voice of Catwoman. Are you ready for a gender-swapped penguin voiced by Minnie Driver? On and on and on and on. And a friend of the show and friend of Mark's and mine, Tom Kenny, lends his vocal talents. He is, of course, the voice of SpongeBob, but he does so many other characters, and he contributes to Batman Caped Crusader. It looks great. It's 10 episodes. Again, it's the designs from the early 40s for the most part, although they do some more modern creations like Renee Montoya, who is a gay Hispanic detective on the Gotham City police force. They make Commissioner Gordon and his daughter black, which is not jarring in the least if you watch the show. I was very impressed with Batman Caped Crusader. Really got a kick out of it.
All
And
right.
finally, I will wrap up with Kite Man. Hell yeah, if you enjoyed the very profane uh, very profane Harley Quinn cartoon series on Max. Kite Man, hell yeah, is a spinoff of that about the inept supervillain running a bar that is actually catering to the supervillains of Gotham City. And it is, oversexed and dirty and funny and crazy. And if you like Harley Quinn, which had the same sensibility, I think you're going to like Kite Man. Hell yeah. Not quite as good as the Harley Quinn TV cartoon, but, again, I like this kind of stuff. So I'm indulging you and the audience, Kim.
So this is swearing cartoon characters.
Yes, it is. So this is
Okay.
not for children. It's more for teens and up. Anyway, there you go. So
There you
that's,
go.
that's 4 and 4. 4 movies, 4 TV shows. We aim to please, Kim.
You really have. Let's recap it. Trap, you said it's not bad. You said it's kind of a bargain matinee kind of movie. That's about the M. Night Shyamalan thick of it. Harold and the Purple Crayon, you called dull and charmless. You said the good actors here are wasted, and you said this is one to stream from home at some point.
Yeah, if you have young kids, some of the actors look a little uncomfortable while they're going through their paces. I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting. Maybe I was uncomfortable as I sat there and watched it. I don't know.
KNEECAP, you recommend it. You said the music is great, it's fast, it's funny, and it's inspiring. Man and Witch, the Dance of 1,000 Steps. You said it's not terrible. You said it's a streamer. Yeah, but it's not terrible.
At best, it's pretty ham-handed, you know.
I believe you called it that it got bogged down in mediocrity as well. The Jetty, you say it's really worth watching if you have the BBC iPlayer, that it's a 4-episode good show that you enjoyed. The Good Girl's Guide to Murder on Netflix. You are into this one. You say it's a yes. The Batman Caped Crusader. You said you were over the moon for Batman Caped Crusader. It's a definite yes for you. And the Profane cartoon characters from Kite Man, hell yeah, on Max. You say yes to that as well. So that's it.
Yeah, if you can put up with it. That's what we got. We've got our Giants playing on the road. I hope they do well. It's always a pleasure, Kim. Get better, Mark. And everybody have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, Michael Snyder. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Nice for you. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome, and fare thee well.
And go Giants. Michael Snyder, everybody.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.